right, y'all. Welcome back to the Who's Right podcast. And what a week. I mean, there's not a lot to say about this week. But before we get into the disaster that is the Mets, subscribe to the channel, like this video, let us know how you're feeling. Are you feeling as down as we are? But Victor, how you doing?
Man, when it rains, it pours, and it is coming down. The floodgates have opened. The Mets have no hope in sight. We thought that changing some things up might, provide a little spark to the team, bringing guys in, having guys move around, changing the lineup. Nothing's working with this team, and they need to send that SOS signal soon. And that SOS signal is fire. Somebody has to go. You got to point some blame to somebody on this team, whether it's a player, you DFA a player, or you send someone down, or you fire somebody. I think there has to be some signal sent by the front office to say this is unacceptable because it really is.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll get into some of that in our concerns of the week. I'm feeling as down as anybody else. But before we get to that, let's talk and review the week, or let's not. Obviously, the week was lost. Not one game won during this week. The only shining light of this week is Nolan McLean, right? Nolan McLean went seven, wanted wanted to keep going, and you just gotta love the that this guy is our future ace. Right now, he's being Degrommed, but at the end of the day, we know that this guy is our future ace and and let me not say, Peralta is also pitching well as well. So it's not like Nolan McLean is the only hope that we have. But at the end of the day, we have a guy, because as of right now, Peralta is here on a 1 year contract, right? But Nolan McLean, we know is going to be here for the next 6 years at least. And so this guy is the glimmer of hope that we have in the future ace, along with Juan Soto coming back hopefully this week, is Nolan McLean.
Yeah, I mean, to steal one of Steve Cohen's terms, and I know it's been overused, but he is the only green shoot that we've seen. And so what can I say? I didn't have as much confidence as in him as the beginning of the year, and boy, he's proved me wrong. Start after start, going doing better and better each start. 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 2 hits allowed, and it was just a monster performance by Nolan McLean. And he really looks like he's locked in. And I like this rhythm that he's on. The one thing that I like that the Mets haven't gone away from is getting him out of a funk because they had an opportunity to, it was a pitcher's duel on that Tuesday, and I think that's the only game that we want to highlight here because it was the only game that was really that good. Because it was a pitcher's duel between Nolan McLean and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yoshinobu Yamamoto looked amazing as well, but he was matching him, pace by pace or pitch inning by inning, and it was amazing to see such a young guy match one of the top pitchers in the league in the pace in the way that he was. And I do have to give kudos to Mendoza here for not sending him back out for the eighth because I thought that would have been a death sentence. We know that they might look good in that start, but it's always affected in their next start. And so I think that he's ended in a good spot right there. And I don't want him to get out of a rhythm that the rhythm that he's in. He's pitching. He's got his pitch count where he wants it to be, and he's in a groove. One thing that was mentioned was why don't we pitch Nolan McLean today so that we can get him on his fifth day and he can kind of save the Mets, but he's not our savior. He's not our answer, and I don't want to ruin this guy's development for just a win here or there. So I hope that they continue to build on that progression, and that he continues to show himself as a true ace of the team, because I don't think Freddie Peralta is looking all ace like so far this year.
Well, and that's the thing. I'll get to Peralta in a second. I kind of agree with you with not sending him out in the eighth, not because of the rhythm, just because it's the beginning of the season, right? And he's getting his pitch count up, and you know we want him to be doing, going into the eighth, going into the ninth if he can later on in the season, not this early in the season. Especially because even though he's not going to be on an innings limit, this is going to be his first full year at the majors. So I just because of that, I'm glad that he didn't go out for the eighth. And as far as pitching him today, I mean, he would have shut down the Cubs, but that wasn't the problem today. So at the end of the day, if we would have pitched him today, now that we know the results, it wouldn't have mattered because he would have pitched seven shutout innings and we would have lost anyways. So, at the end of the day, let him pitch the way he's pitching. Let them keep going because our issue, for the most part, even though some games we have scored a few more runs, for the most part, our issues have been the pitching. I mean, the hitting. And as far as Peralta, Peralta is who Peralta is. At the end of the day, he's a solid, really top number two pitcher, right? He's not an ace of a staff. He just was traded for to not put that pressure right away on Nolan McLean. That's what I believe that that's what they did. And whether we sign Peralta or not, he is who he is. He's a really good number two pitcher, which you need. You really need those guys that eat innings. Not we wish Peralta ate a little bit more innings, but those guys that you can count on day in and day out, and that's who Peralta is. And so that's why I always kept saying Nolan McLean's the future ace of the staff because not because Peralta's not any good, it's just he's not an ace. He's just a really good pitcher.
Yeah, and he's really living up to the name, five inning Freddy. It's not looking good for for Freddie Peralta and that nickname. But you're right. You're exactly right. I think seeing it in the light that it is now, it does take some pressure off of Nolan McLean to be able to go out and feel like he's not the ace of the staff. But we know that he still wants to be, and he's still going to push himself that much harder. But he's not going to have to carry that weight on his shoulders. And right now, I don't know who's carrying that weight. I think somebody uh, or everybody is feeling like they have to carry some sort of weight on their shoulders because of the way that this team is performing, feeling like they have to outperform their shoes right now because of they just need to get out of a funk. We see players swinging and having ugly at bats. We saw some ugly at bats this past week
Oh
where these
yeah.
guys are just pushing, and I'm glad that we have some constants in the rotation with Peralta and McLean and even Holmes. Holmes didn't look too bad either. He gave
Yeah.
up a 2-run home run to Hai Sung Kim, and that was it. That was the only blemish on his line, and so I'm really excited about our pitching staff right now. I think we've been able to hold our own. There have been some guys, and we'll talk about that in our concerns, but our pitching staff, we have three solid guys in the rotation that we can count on to keep us in the game.
Yeah, and that's a great transition because, like you said, Holmes also had a good game. So shout out to him too, even though we didn't review his game today. But let's jump into the concerns because right, we don't want to continue reviewing this week. There was not much to review. So our concerns, right, are the two pitchers that kind of gave us concerns last year, right? These are the two pitchers that didn't end the year strong. Both started well enough last year, but both didn't end the year strong. One got demoted to AAA, and one couldn't stay on the mound because he was so worked. And now it's kind of showing itself here in the beginning of the season with Kodai Senga and Peterson. I don't know. Senga says he's feeling great. I don't know what that means at this point, that Senga says he's feeling great, but his pitches aren't looking great or being hit. And with Peterson, I don't understand. It's like he has one bad inning and it derails his whole pitching day, right? Because he'll have like before he had an opener in Tobias Myers, they kind of played us a little bit, saying Tobias Myers was going to start. For me, when I first saw that last night, I thought, oh, somebody's being replaced, and no, it was just a start, an opener, and Peterson goes in, and he didn't have the blow up inning today, but before today, it's the first or second inning where he has a blow up inning and then pitches 5 innings, which is the weirdest thing to me. And so, and it's like, what's going on with these two guys?
Yeah, and it's not even like he did that this time either. What was his final line this game? I mean, he didn't give up any runs. He had some hard hit balls, and he didn't look too bad in this start. But at the same time, we need more out of a starting pitcher. And if you're not going to give us more, then you got to give another guy like Tobias Myers an opportunity to actually start and actually give us a start because Tobias Myers is kind of being used and abused right now in whatever role that we put him in, and that's what happens when you're on a baseball team. But it's not giving him enough time to or enough opportunities to succeed when he's just being thrown in any willy nilly opportunity or situation. And we have him for 6 more years. We have him longer than Peterson, and so my concern with Peterson is that he's gone after this year. If we're still worried about him and his develop or him being a serviceable pitcher for us this year, why? We have Tobias Myers that is in the system for another few years. What, 5, 6 years that he's under team control, and I'd rather give him an opportunity to get a start, get in the groove of things because we know he's a starter. He was a starter for the Brewers and he was starting games in spring training, and so if we're gonna give anybody an opportunity, then give it to Tobias Myers to build himself up to be a starter because at the end of the day, between Peterson and Senga, they're duds of starts. You know, Senga looks like he had two good starts and then just lost it completely. He's not he he's I don't know what's going on with him. It just seems like he can't get his rhythm right. He lacks confidence. Um, where it seems like the same situation with Peterson. And you think about all these guys that you have in your organization and that are coming up, and we don't want another situation like we had last year where we're pushing these guys up because we're desperate. And that's the last thing I hope. Last year we did that because it was getting late early. This year it's already late early, and we don't have to push these guys to begin if our season's already a flush.
Well, and that's the thing that I titled this episode when, obviously the how many games we lost in a row, but when will it stop? By the time we even get to the young players, we might be out of the playoffs. You can't win the division or get into the playoffs in April, but you can lose it. And I'm not in the middle of the week, even after the Dodgers series, I wasn't too concerned, but when you can't squeak out a win against the Cubs, who at the beginning of the week had the same record we did, that to me is concerning. And that, going off of what you're talking about with Tobias Myers, well, if he does enter the rotation, does he need to go down to AAA to get the length going? And does he need to go down there a couple weeks to get that length, right? Because right now, because we've used him as a relief pitcher, he's not extended as a starting pitcher, right? He didn't even go 3 today. He went 2, And so does if if at this point we have given up on Peterson, which I'm not opposed to, because like you said, he's a guy that is done after this year. So if we put him in the bullpen, I don't know if we need to DFA him, but if we put him in the bullpen and switching from Tobias Myers. Is Tobias Myers ready for that? Because he's been pitching for a month as a reliever. So can is he extended now, or do we have to wait? Right? I don't know the answer to that. Only the Mets know the answer to that. But I'm not opposed putting Peterson in the bullpen. Right? A little bit longer of a leash with Senga, only because he is signed after this year. Right? We got one more year after this year with Senga, so I would definitely say there's a little bit longer of a leash with Senga. Only, and I'm only thinking Mets wise, right? Just what they would be thinking, right? I'm open to putting Peterson in the bullpen because it is his last year. He's not proven that he can stay in the starting rotation. And like you said, he only went three and a third today. It's not like he after the opener he went five and scoreless, right? It's not like he came in there and looked great for those 3 innings. Like you said, he got hit hard a little bit, and so I'm not opposed to making a change for Tobias Myers to Peterson. My only question is Tobias Myers ready to come to pitch at least 5 innings?
Yeah, and that's a good point. He definitely got shortened up as he was pitching out of the rotation or out of the bullpen. He was pitching every 2 days or so at one point, and probably does need to get stretched out a little bit, but that's not the answer. That's every fifth day. We've lost 11 in a row, and that's not sending Peterson or whoever we're going to put in Peterson's place is only going to help us 1 out of 5 times, right?
Yeah,
The problem is that this offense can't help itself because we do have good pitching performances that we can talk about. We just talked about 3 guys that put up good numbers for us this past week, and at the very least, we could be sitting at an even week with 3 games and three and at a 3-3 week. But our hitting can't catch up to itself. It can't help itself. And I mentioned this a little bit. It just seems like everyone is trying to play the hero here. There's been more swing and miss than I think I've ever seen as a Mets fan, where these guys are just chasing out of the zone or just look lost at the plate. They have no plate approach, um, and it's just at bat after at bat. You get something going, you get on base, and the next guy comes up and strikes out, or pops up, or puts up some pathetic at bat. And I'm not saying I can do better because obviously I'm sitting here on the couch talking about these Mets, but these guys get paid a lot of money to at least be competitive. They're Major League Baseball players. We've talked about this before, as we're breaking down the weeks to come. When we think that we're playing bad teams, they're still a major league team, and they should be putting up major league at bats. And right now, it doesn't even seem like they're doing that. And I don't
yeah.
know how much it is to blame on the players, the clubhouse, the rhythm, the management, the it just seems like you can blame everybody in the Mets organization right now for what's going on, and there's no sure sign of when it's going to end.
Yeah, no, and obviously we can blame everybody and their mother, right? But check out these stats: 11-game losing streak. During this 11-game losing streak, SNY put this up on their post game show. Runs per game, 1.7 by the Mets. Batting average, 200. The Mendoza line, by the way. Extra base hits, 17. Only 17 extra base hits in 11 games. OPS 537, and average with runners in scoring position 146. That tells you it all. I mean, everybody wants to blame Mendoza, and who knows how long. I don't know. I don't believe he's getting fired, but everybody's calling for his head. But look at those numbers. At the end of the day, you said it. The at bats look terrible. And I don't know about you. This is how I would kind of use the equivalent, right, to wrestling. Wrestling is a team sport when and an individual sport at the same time, just like baseball. And for every player in that lineup to be performing badly on on proven players, because Bichette's a proven player, Lindor is a proven player, Polanco, even though he's hurt, he's a proven player, and well, I'm just going to name those guys because all the other guys, Roberts proven the otherwise, and so have our guys, Vientos, Beatty, Alvarez. Even though Alvarez had a good week, a decent week, not a good week, but this is on the players. Lindor's just starting, I think, to perform. Simeon's just starting to get a couple hits per game, and because I forgot to mention him. At the end of the day, this is when you're on the offensive side, because you're right, the offensive side is the more concerning side. And the on when you're on the offensive side, you're an individual against that pitcher, and all these guys up and down the lineup are OPS of 537 for the team. That's horrible. Batting average of 200. That is horrible, and that screams the players. The only one that you can extend a little bit of blame to is the guy that brought him in here, brought those players here, right? And it's David Stearns, who's not going anywhere. So at the end of the day, Cohen is not going to fire David Stearns when David Stearns he was waiting for years, for 3 years before he got him. So I mean, you can at this point. I'm still a believer in David Stearns, but it the only guy that you can extend a little bit of blame, other than the players, is David Stearns because he brought some of these players here and didn't keep some players and did keep other players, right? And so to me, this is all on the players because their batting averages, their OPSs, and their plate approaches tells me it all. You can't put this on managers. At the end of the day, Bichette's getting paid 42 million. Lindor's getting paid 34 million. At the end of the day, it's on them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It is on them, and they're professional baseball players at the end of the day, and they need to go up to the plate and put up a competitive at bat. But at heads have to these guys have to take accountability for what happened, or what is happening with the team. And if we're gonna sit here and say that the players have to perform, then you have to give them that opportunity to succeed. And right now, it feels like they don't have that opportunity to succeed. They are going out there every day, and so that is an opportunity to succeed. But it seems like David Stearns took the blame last year, and it's just like everyone feels like a continuation of last year. And so, are we going to put the blame on David Stearns? And if not, then are we going to put it on Steve Cohen? But someone has to take accountability for what's going on here. And last year it was David Stearns. And so I want someone to at least step up and say, "I'm sorry for what's happening," because no Mets fan deserves to uh go to a stadium and see their team lose day after day. And deserve is a strong word because we obviously don't deserve anything, and we're not owed anything with this team. David or Steve Cohen is the one losing money with every loss that we see. But I just think about the moves that David Stern has made so far in his Mets tenure. We had all of the firing of the whole coaching staff last year, and the only one that was kept was Carlos Mendoza. But then he brings in a whole new coaching staff that he handpicked, that he made for himself. And that just seems a little odd to me. I know he's a first time manager, Carlos Mendoza is, but isn't the manager supposed to pick their staff? Aren't they the ones that kind of orchestrate their team so that the clubhouse has some cohesiveness, that they have some sort of unity? It's not just based off of the numbers and the analytics and who do you think is going to perform. I think of as a Giants fan, what we just saw in John Harbaugh's hiring. John Harbaugh, although he's a veteran, came in, hired a whole new staff, brought in all of his guys, old players even, to be able to be with him, to build that culture, to build that winning mentality within the organization, within the team. And it doesn't seem like the players have had that opportunity to build that culture. Mendy has had that opportunity, and it's just been kind of trying to figure it out as he goes with David Stearns. Because even the only saving grace that I give him right now, which he's traded away a bunch of them, is the prospect, the minor league system that he's built. Because it does seem like the pipeline has a big future ahead. But when we're talking about the major league team suffering and you are making these moves, then it just brings me to concern. And maybe it's David Stern's fault, but maybe it's Steve Cohen for giving him that much authority and power to do these things. Or maybe it's Steve Cohen's fault altogether just for hiring the guy. But I do want to point some blame to somebody, and I'm going to point that to David Stearns.
Yeah, to me, I'm still gonna lay it on to the players. Yeah, but you have every right to put it on Stearns as well because he brought those players in and let go of some fan favorites, and so I can't defend him on that. So if you want to do it that way, that's okay. But to me, it's still the players. It's still a team of the veteran players that he did bring in, whether they get along in the clubhouse or not doesn't even matter. You're professional ball players. This isn't like football. Football is a little different in that sense. So I wouldn't compare those two. That's why I brought up wrestling, because on a wrestling team you could have 10 guys that don't like each other, but they're going out there to perform their match every match. And so I more equate a baseball team to a wrestling team, um, because um, there are individuals out there on the offensive side, right? Because it's not like a pitcher. A pitcher is dependent on the players making plays and stuff like that. When you're on offense, it's dependent on your at bats. I forget what podcast it was that Lindor got interviewed at, and he mentions that he's never going to challenge, never going to use the challenge system, and the reason he's never going to use the challenge system is because he doesn't know the strike zone well. He's looking for a pitch that he wants to hit. That's how he goes up there. So at the end of the day, this is on the players, right? So I am fully confident in that, and but I am not going to disagree with you that if you want to blame Stearns, because at the end of the day, Stearns brought in those players. So if you want to put a little bit of blame there, go right ahead. And if you guys let me know what you think. Is it the players? Is it Mendoza? Is it Stearns? Is it Cohen? Who knows? But let me know what you guys think. Now let's get to the who's right part of the podcast, and this is going to be quick. Let's review. Victor picked Bench and Williams. Ooh, Williams looked great today. And I picked Lindor and Peterson. And even though Lindor looks like he's breaking out of it, it's not great. And Peterson, well, he needed an opener today. So it's a big, big dud because for the hitter of the week, we got to give it to a guy that just came up on Friday. Hit a couple home runs this weekend. MJ Melendez. What do you think? MJ Melendez. Victor, tell me about him.
I've been telling y'all, man. I've been telling y'all he should have made the team from the start. Listen, and that's not even giving any slack to Carson Bench, although he would have taken playing time from Carson Bench or Jorge Polanco. And a quick thing on Jorge Polanco, because this is my last concern. Why wasn't he on? Was It's already been mentioned. He should have been on the IL a lot longer. But let's give some love to MJ, or a lot sooner rather. Let's give some love to MJ Melendez though, because this kid came up after being in the minor leagues, having some at bats there, but after a strong, semi-strong spring, he didn't look great, but he didn't look terrible, and so I wanted him to make the team, but he finally is here, and maybe this is the Mark Vientos spark that we kind of had from 2024, where a guy came up from the minor leagues and is providing a spark to the team. He certainly looks good at the plate sometimes, then he strikes out at other times. But it's good to see him provide some offense here. And Devin Williams looks like he did have those opportunities to save some games or to save one game and then keep us in another. And he's been giving up runs. And I can't blame him too much, except for this past game today. That's definitely his fault, but it's also on the offense, but he also hasn't had a lot of opportunity to pitch in the past week, and so maybe he does need to pitch more to actually get in the groove of things. Who would have thought? But
Well, I mean, this is the same thing that was happening to Edwin Diaz in the beginning of the season. So, I agree. I can on that note, I completely agree with you. Williams until the other day hadn't been in the game in a week, and so I do agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and obviously the pitcher of the week we already talked about Nolan McLean. So Nolan McLean is going to continue to build. I think whoever gets the first pitch or pick for the pitcher is always going to pick Nolan McLean because that's the safe way to go at this point. So yeah, shout out to these guys. Let's continue to see them grow. Hopefully, MJ does get some more playing time this week, probably in place of Beatty or Vientos because those guys have looked horrible at the plate. Or they just get in because he just gets in wherever you can fit him. But he definitely needs to get some at bats, and glad that he's here and hope he's here to stay.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if Soto does come back on Tuesday, which I'm hoping that he comes back on Tuesday, they might even wait till Wednesday to bring him back because the reception on Tuesday is going to be so ugly. So they might wait till Wednesday to bring him back. But I do think, and I do agree with you that MJ should be playing, instead of Beatty or Vientos, whichever you want to sit at this point. It doesn't even matter, because either those guys should be split in first base at this point. And MJ, with Soto, when Soto comes back, should be playing the outfield. Should be playing right field. Or no, actually, when Soto comes back, he'll be the DH, and those guys will split. For those other guys play first base because I'm not ready to give on bench either. He's had a couple good games where he's looked better. At least the approach has been better, and this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these guys are individual players when it comes to the offensive side. Bench looked horrible for a long time, and even though he's had some offers, his swings have looked better. Like he looks like he's actually starting to understand what they're trying to do to him now. And so this is what I'm talking about with the other players, where they don't, like you said, they've been taking horrible at bats. So I'm not ready to give up on bench just yet. I would. I don't know where I would hit him once Soto comes back because a lot of people are saying that we should do Soto first. Who knows? But at the end of the day, um, let's get into.
Yeah, and I just a quick thing on Bench too. I think he is going to stay. I'm done saying sending him down to the minor leagues because he has he's looked a lot better in his at bats, and obviously he's getting rewarded for putting up good at bats with batting leadoff for the past few days. And so I'm not ready to bat Soto leadoff, but maybe Bench stays in leadoff and continues to build up his at bat because his speed on the base paths can be very um can be weaponized for Juan Soto when he does come back, and so that'll be good.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it might be one of those where it's Beatty, Bichette, Soto, and then Lindor batting fourth. It's possible. So let's see what happens. But let's preview the next week of games. We got Minnesota and the Rockies coming in. Honestly, I'm not going to um, give you a whole lot. There's a Minnesota team that is rebuilding. What they only got Joe Ryan and Buxton, guys that uh, names that right? They have Royce Lewis, a couple guys that you might know, but at the end of the day, um, I'm not going to say it. It's burned me last week, so I'm not even going to say what we should do against this team. But it's a team that, after going up against the Dodgers, it's a team that we should be competitive. I'm gonna use because I don't want to say much more than that. And the Rockies. Well, there was a meme going around about the Rockies already being out of the playoffs. Well, they have a better record than us, and so um, I don't know. That's the last thing I'll say about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? We have the worst record of baseball right now. So let's just go out and get a win, and I'll be happy next week. I won't be happy, but I'll tolerate whatever we have to talk about next week if we can come out and scratch a couple wins against these no other way to put it, but you know, bottom feeder teams with they're both rebuilding like you said. I know that Minnesota started off pretty hot. They were looking pretty good, but they're also on a skid. They've lost their last 4 games, and so if we can put things up, or put something up against them and get some momentum going this week, going into next week, then that's gonna do a lot for the Mets' confidence. And as much as we had a losing streak, a good winning streak can change the whole perspective of the season because it is still early. You know, we're part of a Mets fan group chat for um, Los Mets, these the a Latino group chat, and all of them are just saying like it's still early. It's still early. I'm not gonna complain just yet, but it's still early, and so let's just get some wins across the board, and then we can talk about what it's gonna look like. Because at the end, we're still sitting better than what we were in 2024. Believe it or not, with this losing streak that we've been on, where we were I think 12 games behind under 500. I know a lot of us Mets fans likes to kind of point to that season as a saving grace because that was the best baseball that we've seen. But um, let's just get some wins, guys. I'm tired of losing.
Yeah, I'm not even going to respond to that because I can't even believe that's true, and which it is. And so I'm not gonna. Yes, 2024. It will live in infamy with us until we start winning. So, so let's get into the who's right part of the podcast, and as far as the hitter side, I believe you go first this week, don't you? I think it is. Yeah.
All right, so going first this week. There's only one way to go, and that's with the man that's returning. That's gonna save this team, right? Juan
You
Juan Juan Soto's gonna come back this week and save the
I don't
team,
know.
right?
I don't know. I don't know if he's coming
So,
back.
I don't wanna go
Uh,
with anyone else, so I'm just gonna
oh,
stay with Juan Soto.
all right, all right. That's a bold pick. I believe he's gonna be back, but that's hilarious. We'll go with that. I mean, that's fine. Um, I guess. I guess. I'm a continue with Lindor. I think he's starting to show some signs. Wait, actually, let me take that back because it's funny. The Mets have um, left New York and it gets hot, and now are back in New York and it's cold again. And we all know Lindor doesn't like the cold weather, so no, I'm not. I'm not picking Lindor. I'm gonna pick. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Carson Bench. Benj is the guy that's going to start breaking out this week, especially with Soto hitting behind him. And so, yeah, Benj is my pick.
Yeah, not a bad pick. Let's hope that he continues to build, and if Soto doesn't come back, then Benj is probably the leadoff hitter
Yeah,
again, and so that's not a bad pick by you.
yeah, no, and now we go to the pitchers. So I pick first, and I wonder who I'm going to pick. It's something. It's a hard decision, the way the pitching staff is looking. But there's really only two choices to pick, right? Actually, there's three choices, right? You got McLean, Peralta, and Holmes, right? Those are the three guys that have proven to be good pitchers consistently. And so, but there is really only one pick, and Nolan McLean is my guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, whoever gets the first, and I think you let me go first. I think I did go first on the pitchers last week. I mean, with the hitters last week. So you just you wanted Nolan McLean this week, and that's why you let me go first with the hitters. But anyway, yeah, that's a good pick. You know, let's hope that he continues to build his momentum. I'm gonna go a little bolder because I still believe that the talent is there, that he still has that 2023 rookie of the year runner up Cy Young votes pitcher in him. And so I'm going to go with Kodai Senga. I'm going to hope that he has a bounce back start. This is a bold pick because his last three starts have looked horrible, but I think he's going to bounce back and he's going to give the Mets a great start. And um, he's going to have 8 strikeouts.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's hope to see it. And shout out in the chat to Nate, big Padres fan, tuning in, kind of, um, stomping on our grave a little bit, and that's all good. We all have fun. Enjoy that going back and forth with different fan bases. So shout out to Nate in the chat. But you know, like Victor just said, we're still hoping for these guys to turn it around. So hopefully Soto comes back and starts playing. But that's going to be we're going to call that an episode, and we're going to get out of here. But before we get out of here, subscribe to the channel, like this video, let us know how you're feeling about this team. Give write it on replay. Put it in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling. Share this video with your friends, and yeah, and Victor, any last words?
Yeah, I just listen. It's not been a good week for New York fans. We had a horrible week as Mets fans, and we lost our best player as a Giants fan, um, and Dexter Lawrence. And so I need some juice. I need some something to get me through this week as a New York fan. And let's hope that the Mets can do something this week to get that off of our mind. The draft is coming up, and that's going to be exciting for us to talk about next week about what picks we had in the draft as a Giants fan, just briefly. And now the Giants have two top 10 picks, and so I'm hoping that they can do something with that. Good riddance, Dexter Lawrence. We never wanted you. No, I'm kidding, but it was sad to see him go, and I wish him all the best in Cincinnati.
Yeah, no, for
But
sure. Yeah, for sure.
yep, but it's the Mets pod. Let's go Mets. Go get some wins and prove those haters wrong.
Let's go
Nate.
Mets.